This segment has been pre-recorded. Thank you for joining us for Lehigh Valley Sunday Morning, a public service of Cumulus Media Allentown. I am your host, Selena, and today we're talking about why it is so important to do early detection for pancreatic cancer. We're speaking right now with Ken Parme, who dealt with this on a very personal level. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. Glad to hear you.
You too. I hear you're doing very well.
That's what they tell me, and I am feeling pretty good, yes.
That is wonderful. Now, you understand how important early detection for pancreatic cancer is. It is critical. Could you tell us a little more about your journey?
Yeah, sure. I was diagnosed back in 2012 with inoperable pancreatic cancer. And at the time I was diagnosed, I was a very healthy person. In fact, for 10 years before that, I was an avid walker, and I think in those 10 years, I had probably only missed 3 days of walking. And I ate right. I tried to take good care of myself. Well, what happened was I started losing weight, and my wife used to walk with me quite often, and it was getting to the point where I couldn't even keep up with her. I was just exhausted. And so she said, you need to go see a doctor. She said, there's something wrong here. So I went to see my PCP, and all my vitals were good. He said, well, let me run some blood work here. And so he did the blood work, and when it came back, he said, oh, my gosh, your sugar's off the charts. You're a diabetic. I'm going to have to start you on insulin. So when I came home and I told that to my wife, she said, but I don't understand. She said, you take such good care of yourself. That doesn't seem right. I'm going to have you go to an endocrinologist.
How did she know? To go from, I didn't know anything was wrong, right? Obviously, the problem is symptoms don't manifest right away. But how did she know to go see a specialist like that?
Well, I'm telling you, wives and mothers, you should pay close attention to the things that they say because they're usually smarter.
I hope my husband hears this, yes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, by her making that appointment for me, she saved my life. When I went to the endocrinologist, she came with me, and I explained to her the symptoms I was starting to have. And she said, well, I don't like the sounds of that. I'm going to send you for a CT scan right away. So she sent me, I believe, that afternoon, and I went to get the CT scan, and I did. She broke the news to me that there was a mass on my pancreas and that I had to have a biopsy. And, of course, the biopsy came out that it was actually cancer. And so the last thing I expected was to hear that I had pancreatic cancer because I was a pretty healthy person.
I have to imagine that must have been such a shock to you. If your wife didn't do that extra little, hey, let's look further into this, you might have just chalked it up to diabetes.
Oh, I definitely would have. I'd have said, okay, I'm just a diabetic.
Yeah.
And the doctors told me that if I'd have waited another couple months, that cancer just would have spread. And I'd have been dead for sure by now. And my oncologist actually told me the sad thing about pancreatic cancer. Now, this was in 2012. I think things are changing now, but at the time, only 2% of the people who were diagnosed with pancreatic cancer were diagnosed on the first diagnosis. The problem with pancreatic cancer is it's very quick and it's fatal. Right now, when I was diagnosed in 2012, only 5% of the people would live over 5 years. Now, that percentage is up to around 10% now. So we're making some headway, but still think about that. That means 9 out of every 10 people that get this are going to die within the first 5 years of their diagnosis.
And that's why early detection is so critical.
It's a tough cancer. I was very fortunate. I did a whole year of chemo, and they put me into a new radiation that they were starting. It was 3 sessions called cyberknife radiation, where they actually put gold beads right on the tumor, and those gold beads act like a target. And the radiation machine goes around you 360 degrees, and it hits that tumor from every angle. And I think that's a good reason to where I am still here today. The thing is, they never did shrink that tumor enough to take it out. The tumor actually never shrank much, but it didn't grow or it didn't spread, so it's still in there. So they keep a good eye on me because, as the doctor said, if for that cancer to die, he would have had to have killed billions of cells, and he doesn't know if those procedures did that. But the good thing is that it'll be in January, 9 years, and I'm still kicking. So,
Ken, I am so glad that you got early detection.
oh, definitely, yeah. This pancreatic cancer moves so quickly that people often don't know that they have it until it's already into stage 4, and that means where it's spread to other organs.
Olympus, which is here in the Lehigh Valley, the Olympus Corporation, has launched a new site about the importance of screening for high-risk people. And if you want some more information, you can go to pancreaticcancerscreening.com, because as Ken is saying, early detection is key. We're so glad that you're doing well now, Ken.
Thank you.
And we thank your wife, too.
Oh, I do. I'm very grateful.
And thank you so much for joining us for Lehigh Valley Sunday Morning.
Well, it was very nice. I'm glad you're taking part in this. And believe me, many people like myself appreciate this very much. There is, they say, probably around 58,000 people a year will get diagnosed with this cancer.
And if they can only get that diagnosis early, get more information about early detection on pancreatic cancer, you can see Ken's story too at pancreaticcancerscreening.com. Ken, thank you so much for sharing your personal story about how important it is for early detection for pancreatic cancer.
Well, thank you, Selena. I appreciate all of your help in this also,